Welcome back to Davis Space. Today we are going to talk about the troubles and the journeys and the difficulties that we experience, or some people experience, while they are trying to acclimate to a certain spiritual community, a certain religion, I can say. And there are some individuals that feel, religion is just not for me. Or they may feel that there's really no good church. I don't go to church. I don't go to the temple. I don't go to the mosque because XYZ. Now, while there are always going to be difficulties anywhere in this world, we must also understand that there will always be difficulty in religion, churches, mosques, doesn't matter. And we have to understand that when we as human beings interact with anyone, there's going to be misunderstandings, there's going to be frustration, there's going to be a lot. And if you've ever been married, you understand these things. And it happens even to people that, you love. These difficulties come. And I think what happens is that when we decide on a particular spiritual community, we superimpose ideas or thought processes or expectations on those communities that pretty much make us feel as if everything in this department, this category, should be perfect. And when we experience imperfection, then according to the level of imperfection we experience, and that's also another point which I'll explain, but if we experience the slightest discomfort, if someone doesn't really engage with us very well, whether it's another member, or to speak of the pastor, or guru, or whatever, the leader, then this whole thing is trash. And this is what we do. Now, there are instances, and it happens quite a bit, not all the time, but there are instances where the leader, the member of the spiritual institution that is just like you, does something ultra inappropriate or just inappropriate. But I'm talking about those things that are unforgivable. Then yes, you have to leave. Because you don't want to subject yourself to such difficult, unnecessary trouble. Because like I said, we're already in this world of hypocrisy, and to be in an area, to be in a community in which there is a lot of disrespect, whether it's verbal or physical. You don't want that. But most of the time, for most people, because we don't really have a good understanding of what to expect from religion, what to expect from our communities, we just go in there just kind of feel based. If it feels good, that's it. If it doesn't feel good, I'm out. And I think that this is in itself childish, because many things that don't always feel good are good for us. Take, for example, medicine. Now, I don't know if you all remember, in my childhood, we had Robitussin, we had different other syrups, and I just went there mentally. There's a lot of different things that we have to take in order to feel better. And sometimes those flavors aren't so appetizing, but we realized later on it worked. And those things that we try to self-medicate if we were a child, and by eating a lot of sweets, it felt good for a second, but then our stomach hurt or our teeth rot or whatever, So what I'm trying to say is that sometimes those things that are bitter in the beginning become sweet at the end, and vice versa. And so we have to be able to discern, what is it that I'm expecting out of this community? And are my expectations practical? Because the expectations should be, and I'm saying this very generically, the expectations should be the culture, the religion allows you to develop and enhance your relationship with God. And the tools within the book or books that are based on this particular practice should be able to help you become a much better you. Now, if it's not allowing you to become a much better you can say, well, I didn't learn much from the pastor. I didn't learn much from the guru or the teacher. But if the book books have been able to help others by the millions, then it's not the pastor. Can information be given better? Yes. There are good teachers and there are better teachers. And a good teacher will break down information to make it very palatable. Break down very complex ideas and make them understandable. This is a characteristic of a great teacher. Now, great leaders, great priests, great ministers, great gurus, great individuals who are in the role of teaching should be able to break this information down. If not, then we have technology at our hands, then in that way we can get better information on things that may not have been clear about a certain text or a certain scripture or a certain ideology, and therefore it should become better. It should make it easier to assimilate a particular topic. And so when it comes to people like Jim Rohn said are like herding cats. It's impossible. Well, it's hard, I should say. And so when we think that when we go to a community that everyone there should think the same way we do, this is a error in expectation, because this is not how it works, and it will never work like that. And so I think if we can understand that everyone has their own differences, everyone has their own value system, their own symbols that they use to understand information, and we understand that, I remember hearing it the best from my mom's teacher. He said, spiritual life is like a hospital, and everyone in there has a certain degree of sickness, and the purpose is to get better. And what happens often is we see people who we think shouldn't be sick because they've been in the hospital long enough. They should be healed already, and it doesn't work all the time. It doesn't work in the time allotted that we think other people should have. And we want the most understanding on our behalf. If we haven't really come to a level yet where we think we should be at, we want people to empathize, sympathize, and see our perspectives. But very seldomly do we want to see others. And because we don't see others' perspectives, because we don't think about where a person's coming from, their trauma, their life experiences, and what makes them think the way they do, We just think, oh, they're in this religion, so they should operate this way, and if they don't operate this way, then just throw the whole religion away. You know, and this is unfortunately very childish because as we understand, when we get older, we have to use our intelligence, and our intelligence is what allows us to differentiate information and to be able to see things as they are, not as we think they are. And if you are able to understand that you are in this position as a form of growth, then you will find your experience much more pleasurable. And as I'm gonna say again, as I mentioned earlier, if you are in a community that belittles you, that degrades you, that neglects you, leave, run. And find a better community that doesn't do that to you. Also understand that sometimes correction is necessary because we think that we're always correct. And other people may have the opportunity to correct us. So we have to see, is this correction done for my well-being or just to make me feel bad? And to understand that not all correction is disrespectful. And it's for sometimes, as long as if it comes from a good place, it's meant for help. And we have to understand that. And that is how we will be able to cultivate higher understandings. Deeper relationships are built that way. Is that we become responsible for our feelings. And to know that if others have become good people, have treated others respectfully, have developed like this divine energy, this glow, then they got it. So what did it take for them to get it? And we have to realize, okay, maybe we need to make some adjustments in our expectations. We need to put more thought into how we respond, how we react to something that initially is very uncomfortable to us. And once we are able to do that, then we can really see, okay, this community is not as bad as I thought it was. There's people I need to not be around, but it's not as bad as I thought. And I think that if we're able to do that with intelligent discrimination, then much of what we experience will benefit us instead of turn us away. So hopefully this made sense. I hope I didn't offend you. And as always, like, comment, share, and please subscribe. Thank you. So the king gets to ask these 3 questions. What is ignorance? What defines pride? And what is considered laziness? And so the king thinks. He says, well, pride is considering or thinking that we are actually in control of anything. And he elaborates. He says a person acts in this world that they control everything that's going on. And he says, but in actuality, they can't even control when they get hungry. And when the hunger comes, they can't stop it. They can't say, hunger, go away. Hunger's there. It's ready. And what to speak of if we have to go to the facilities to evacuate, the body doesn't listen to not now, or maybe an hour, maybe tomorrow. You got to go, you got to go. And so this idea of us being in control is what causes pride. And this is what the king says pride is about, thinking we are in control. And then the second question, he says, what is ignorance? He says, ignorance is not knowing one's duties in life or what is one's goal of life. That is what ignorance means. And then the final question or response, he says, what is laziness? He says laziness is knowing one's goal of life and not acting on it. This is considered laziness. So please take from these questions and answers, ponder them, think about them, and try to see how they apply in your life. Thank you.